little after 9. We'll go ahead and call the Wednesday, May 8th, Logansport Board of Public Works meeting to safety. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Roll call. Carol Sue, please.
Mayor Franklin.
Here.
Ron Miller.
Present.
Chris Armstrong.
Here.
All members are present and accounted for. Approval of minutes.
I've read them. I would make a motion for the approval of the May 1st minutes as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes on a vote of 3-0. Approval of claims in the amount of $221,052.41.
I've read them, and I would make a motion that we approve the claims in the amount of $221,052.42 as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? It passes on a vote of 3-0. Approval of licenses. It appears that we have 13 electrical licenses for consideration today. I'd make the motion that we approve all 13 licenses at the same time.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor of approving the applications for electrical license for 13 individuals? Those being, I want to name them, Michael Baker, Dennis Hartley, Anthony Hillman, Kevin Hommel, Stephen Koch, Dennis Kurtz, Mark Maupin, Clifford Millard, Michael Myers, Randall Thompson, Jeffrey Watson, James Woodruff, and Bruce Ray. We have a motion and a proper second. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes on a vote of 3-0. Are there any visitor comments? Okay, none. Under old business, code enforcement issues. First up is Alfonso Perez.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Morning.
Both myself and City Attorney Randy Hannett at different times spoke with Andrew Rocky, who represents Alfonso. He had a court case this morning. He indicated to Mr. Head that he will be here, they will be here late, sometime around 9:30, if we're still in session. To give you an update of where we're at on that, Mr. Rocky had indicated to me that they wanted another 30 days. Alfonso has requested a copy of all the ordinances and zoning ordinances that he's in violation of. Mr. Head and I and Building Commissioner Drinkwine briefly went over those this morning, and I think that we've got a good hand on what he's wanting, and we'll have those prepared for him sometime today, whether he makes it here in time for the meeting or not.
Okay, so are we asking, since this is on our agenda and there's nobody present, but they have had some contact, we asking for an extension, another 30-day extension, or
Yes.
let's see, today is the 8th, so if we said June 5th, June 5th would be 4 weeks. So we will, I'd make the motion that we grant an extension and request that Mr. Perez and his attorney, if he so chooses, be present at the June 5th meeting unless you have it cleared before then. If they've made the changes, then there will be no need for them to appear.
Correct.
But
I'd second that.
okay, so we have a motion and a second to grant an extension to Alfonso Perez regarding his property at 516 East Linden. We request that they report back on June 5th unless the property is cleared prior to that time. It's in the form of a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passes on a vote of 3-0. Carl Kane.
I had met with him at his residence this morning, and he has come a long ways. The place is presentable now.
Making more progress. Is it finished?
It's finished.
Okay. I would make the motion that we accept the report, or accept the outcome and the recommendation that no further action be taken at this time regarding 1913 High Street.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor of clearing 1913 High Street, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, it passes on a vote of 3-0. Under new business, thank you, George.
Your Honor, I would like to point out that Mr. Perez did just walk in. I will talk to him out in the hallway and tell him what we decided.
We've already taken official action, and it's June 5th is what it is.
Right.
Thank you. Under new business, YMCA 18th River City Triathlon scheduled for June 8th at France Park. From what I gather, this is only a request to use some of our cones, 75 to 90 cones. I personally don't have any objection. Does the board have any feelings on it? I see Chief Clark and Superintendent Williams back here. I would assume that if they get the cones, it would be from one of your two organizations. Do you have that many? Can you accommodate that need?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I would make the motion that we approve the request by the YMCA in helping them be able to host the 18th River City Triathlon by providing between 75 and 90 traffic cones.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Pass it on a vote of 3-0. The 175th sign design, Leader Rouser informs us that the signs, the 175th sign design,
This email to me, Mayor Franklin, I assumed that she would be here today, so I don't know where she is.
I've had a chance to review the signs, the design for the sign, and certainly have no objection to them if it's the same sign that I think it is. This doesn't really even make a request.
Just asking to schedule a meeting with the Board of Work.
Yeah, so we will wait on her to contact us. At this point, this requests nothing, and it doesn't take an official Board of Works action to schedule a meeting. So we'll note that in the minutes and move forward. Okay. Next is Building Commissioner report. Morning, Bill.
Good morning. I had submitted my report for your review. If you have any direct questions to that report, I'm open to discuss those.
We know when Jay's Food Mart will be open. I know the completion is mid-May, but they haven't scheduled an opening date when they'll start.
No, they have not. I have not received any anticipated request for a final certificate of occupancy inspection at this point. Last time I talked, they were still looking for a mid-May date.
Did I see some structural steel on the ground up by the movie cinema?
Yeah, the structural steel arrived yesterday morning, and they started installing it immediately. They hope to have the structural steel done by the end of this week, and then they'll be working on the decking, and then the interior masonry and interior finish will start. Again, I don't have a projected completion date from the field personnel at this time.
Okay.
Okay.
Are there any questions for the building commissioner? All right. Under ordered to appear.
Yeah, first I would like to touch base on the 208 South 6th Street
Okay.
project, for lack of better words. I'm requesting one more week to continue to go through the bid estimates with local contractors and develop a recommendation for the board. So with your permission, I'd like to extend that until next week's meeting to have that recommendation forward for you to review.
I would make the motion that we grant the request for another 1 week extension regarding the building commissioner's recommendation, 208 South 6th Street.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? I know you're on top of it. Thank you, and just let us know.
And I do have one order to appear this morning.
I think we need to take an official vote on that. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Now. Okay, now we're good.
I do have one property owner to appear today. This property owner also has another appearance with the code enforcement officer as well. So if it's appropriate or okay with the board, we'd like to address the property owners simultaneously in the same session. I had placed an order to appear for 1801 Woodlawn Avenue, where the property owners are Travis Hunter and Mr. Richard Gahan. And Travis and Mr. Gahan are here. George had an order to appear for 1703, I think, right? 1730, where the property owners on that property are Travis Hunter and Mr. Mark Hines. My order to appear was for the property located at 1801 Woodland Avenue, which had, at the time, multiple vehicles staged on the property, and it was just unkempt. My order to appear addressed the the city code and the abandoned vehicle ordinance as well. I took pictures yesterday afternoon of the property, which you have 3 pictures of that property currently. All the vehicles have been removed from the property. The property has been mowed and it is cleaned up. The only issue I had left on the property on my end, on the building side, is the unsafe building structure that is currently on the property. That building has been vacant for numerous years and nothing has been done with it. There are no utilities connected to it, to my knowledge, and it's been uninhabited for a long period of time, which meets the criteria of the unsafe building code in the state as well as the city code. So that's on my end. Now, I would let George go ahead and speak to his letter, and then if it's appropriate, I would like to allow the owners of both their properties to come up to the table and we can have a discussion about the conditions.
What do you have, George?
I've asked Aaron to be here today. These are violations of the zoning ordinance. These are violations that I actually started working on back when I was still doing zoning, and at the mayor's request, I continue to follow through with these. On the west side of this building, he had a number of exposed auto parts, primarily used bumpers from wrecked vehicles.
You're talking about 1730.
1730.
Okay.
Yes. At the rear of the building, he exceeds the number of vehicles, and this was all noted in the letter that I sent to him to appear. He exceeded the number of vehicles that he was allowed to park on the paved parking lot to the north of the building. Also, another problem we had was he parking vehicles in the front or the south side of the building, blocking the sidewalk as well as the street. As Bill said, he and I had a meeting yesterday with Scott that I felt went very well. Scott has since, receiving that letter, started working on building a privacy fence to store wrecked vehicle parts in that he removes from vehicles till he can dispose of them. And it's my understanding after meeting with him yesterday that he does intend to petition the zoning board to increase the number of vehicles that he's allowed to park at the rear of his building. With that being said on my part, I'm going to turn it over to Erin and let her address any questions or anything to Mr. Hunter or Mr. Hines.
Any questions for me? They've covered it pretty well. There was a BZA case for both properties. Neither one of those BZA cases identified the sale of vehicles, but those have since been cleaned up. The property that's 1801 was for basically storage of vehicles awaiting repair. There were certain regulations that were brought forward, and if they want to make changes to that, they just have to go back to the board, and same for the 1730 property. So basically, it's just meeting with us and seeing what changes they want to make to their BZA case.
Yeah. Can you come up? Come on up. Big table. Yeah, if you would, state your name and address for us, just for the record. Anybody that's going to speak, state your name and address. Yeah.
10630 West, State Road 16, Royalston, Indiana.
Can you pick that up?
No.
I'm sorry. All the chairs were moving around. Hold on just a second. We'll get everybody.
10630 West, State Road 16, Royal Center, Indiana, 46978.
And your name?
Scott Hunter.
Okay. And anybody else, if you all just go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Richard L. Gahan, 867E County Road 350 South, Logansport.
And one more. Okay, Mark.
7598 North, Infinity West, Los Angeles.
Okay.
And Travis.
Oh,
10630 West, State Road 16.
okay. Thank you all for being here. As you're probably aware, we get several complaints a week, especially when the cars are parked at the 1801 address. I think that's what prompts the further, the deeper investigation that leads to even more and more discovery after we follow through with these. I haven't looked at this in a while, but it's my recollection that the original intent, when you got the original variance to use that 1801, that the building was going to come down and there was going to be a fence constructed and a couple other things to screen the cars.
Yeah. What it was, when I filed that in 08, we were initially wanting to use that for a parking for the body shop. How, in 2008, yes. But we never purchased it. It still belonged to Crane when we applied. And I talked to Don afterward, and by the time they got done saying, we'll let you do it, but we need to do this, this, and this, it was in my interest. And I talked to Don Crane, which you could speak with him if you'd like, and the very next day, and I said that I didn't think it was worth spending that kind of money on at the time for parked 7 cars and Camry damage facing, hide it from the, anyway, long story short, I took it out and we didn't buy it. And so I didn't know at the time, Ted, I needed to talk to anybody or Don and say, look, we decided not to. He just made me aware of this yesterday, and I
So does Don still own it?
No, Dick and Levi just bought it last year.
Okay.
But this happened in 08.
And they just bought it off Don last year?
Don Crane, yeah.
Okay.
And so basically, I needed to call and tell them we weren't going to do that, and now we need to get with Chris. Are you Curtis? Okay. I talked to him last night. We got a plan put together to submit to zoning, and we planned on trying today to turn everything in and then get on the agenda to see if what kind of luck we're going to have, and then we're willing to, do whatever it takes to, if it's going to benefit, whether we tear down, we tear it all down, or if we're just going to tear down that garage and clean it up. And I had Brumbaugh Construction come and look at it and possibly do what repairs are necessary and just, for the time, just leave it. I want to tear it down.
Sure.
And
You understand that decision, the use decision will be a zoning or a Board of Zoning Appeals or a Plan Commission decision. So I don't profess to be an expert in this whatsoever.
I don't either. Honestly.
I believe the way that this works right now, you were given a conditional approval to operate your business there, and those conditions were that building had to be torn down and they had to construct the fence, and we had to do several different steps, whatever those were. So I believe the way that it works now is if you go back and amend that everything is reconsidered, and that anything could happen. They could say yes, they say no, or they could say, yes, we'll give you this approval conditionally, and that condition may very well be that the building be down within 30 days.
I understand.
And whatever those conditions are what this board is required to enforce. They sort of give the approval, and then we're the enforcement authority, which is where the reason all the complaints come into my office, and that Chris and Cheryl and all of it, and Ron and Randy, we all have to deal with those complaints. And it's not that we're out looking for a fight. I don't want you to think that, but we do have a responsibility, not only to you to help your business succeed, but to also to ensure that the sidewalk remains open and that those people who drive past that have, something aesthetically pleasing, they don't want to see a junkyard sitting on 18th
I
Street,
agree, Teddy.
even though there's one already.
I agree.
So that's the reason we're here. We certainly want to work with you, but at some point in time, what the common complaint is that comes to my office is this has been an ongoing issue since 2008. So when you went for the original variance, that was the expectation at that time. You were allowed to park the cars there contingent upon
We was allowed to park them there at the time until we got it cleared down beyond.
Right, and that's what we're saying is
Yeah, I
the
agree.
expectation was that the building would be down in 2008 before you started parking the cars there, and then the cars showed up and the building remained, and so here we are 5 years later handling, the issues that come forward.
I should have notified him right after that hearing, and then when he talked to Don and decided against it, I should have notified these guys, but I didn't know when I talked to these guys yesterday. But
So,
I've already talked to Gary, B&G Construction.
uh-huh,
I've got a proposal right here.
okay,
I've already told him I got the CAD, I give $6,000 proposal
uh-huh,
to tear the building down. And I'm fully, it's right there and I'm willing to sign. I just need to
okay.
submit this today with Chris or
Aaron?
Aaron, I'm
So-
sorry, I got two names. And we're gonna do something today.
Okay,
So we can get this handled quick.
so Aaron, what would be the soonest that they would appear before is it BZA or plan?
Yes, it would
Okay.
actually be because of timeframe,
Uh-huh.
the notification to the paper. We actually, next month, unless we set the special meeting, because it's next month, not the next Monday, but the Monday after.
So like the middle of
So-
June,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it would have had to been beginning of this week to get it in the paper.
Right.
For that meeting, so, but we can obviously go over it with you, you can submit it today, it's just not gonna be till that.
I just wanna do it, show them good faith,
Yeah.
that I'm ready to do whatever it takes.
well, we appreciate that, and I would encourage you to do that.
That's what I'm gonna do.
At some point in time after that June, the
It's
date?
the third Monday of the month.
After June 17th, if the Board of Zoning Appeals hasn't taken action, then we'll have you back in here
I understand,
and
but you
sort
won't
of
have
lay
a
it
problem.
out.
I'll submit something,
Okay.
I'll get it on there, Ted, honestly.
I would-
I wanna know which way I need to go myself.
I would strongly encourage you to do that, because sooner or later, we're going to be forced to do
And
something.
I understand.
Could I,
Sure.
Mayor, on that, the reason, that was a crane, which, we weren't the owner then, we decided to. And we was assured at that time, we took the building down, that we would be able to use it as a sales lot, not storage. There was I just got back from Florida the 18th, and that time there was only one wrecked car there.
Mhm.
But,
There's cars parked there, there's been
Yeah.
other cars parked there.
Yeah.
It's been cluttered, it looks like shit.
Sometimes there's 4, 5, 6 cars there, sometimes there's no cars.
Sometimes there's 25 and it looks like shit.
Yeah.
And it's not Dick's fault, it's not nobody's my
Okay,
fault.
okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're taking the right steps.
Exactly.
We will count on you being before the Board of Zoning Appeals on June 17th. And after that, we will set a reasonable time frame for you to be in compliance. And then after that, if you're not in compliance, we'll have you back before Board of Works and
I don't
take
want any more
act.
than you do.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
we're gonna get a permit to
Tear the garage
tear
down.
the garage down now.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Because the roof's off of it, and I'm gonna get, matter of fact, we may be able to start, if I get the permits this Sunday, we'll probably have it down and have it all cleaned up, and that part will be gone
Okay.
regardless, so.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make sure that the board can't rule on it unless you're in compliance with the current code, so how you are now. So when they actually hear it in June, you need to be like you are now, just not cars sitting out there, so that you're in compliance now. They can't prove anything if you're not.
That's why I moved them.
So I just wanted to let you know. So
I understand.
keep it the way it is.
Aaron,
Not
does-
able to vote on it.
Does being in compliance mean that the house has to be tore down?
No, the house only
Okay.
would be tore down if you were doing the use that you want to talk
Mhm.
about.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bill?
we do need to clarify, I mean, we have the issue on 1801 Woodland that we're talking about now, with the property and the house and the garage. It's critical that the property be maintained at minimum the way it is today, way not today, so.
Every summer, that grass is covered, notice the cars,
The
yeah,
grass
okay.
is cut, the vehicles there, we're talking about the house being secure. If you get
moved those off front.
And, so, but to what Aaron is referring to, please make sure that you're in compliance on both sides, because if you're coming from the board and you're not in compliance, they're gonna push you out the door back.
And I understand that.
So, just.
But I do gotta maintain, I gotta stay in business, or either that or I gotta just put a padlock on it and close it. I mean, I'm not trying to be smart, but I can't go down there, my shop's full, and I've got jobs, and I'm not trying to blame anybody.
Yeah, we want you to be successful, and we're trying to work with you. And I think
And
if
it's
you get
tough
that,
times, Ted, to be
if you
honest.
get that other building torn down and
Yeah.
get it screened with the fence, I think you're going to be okay.
And that's what I want, listen to me, I mean, that's what I wanna do.
I think that's the answer, and you're working towards it. You're taking the steps. If we see progress, we'll work with you.
That's what trust me.
If there's anything that's changing on the 1730 property, you can go and bring it all together.
Okay, the only question I had on that, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but is there anything showing that there was ever an order on how many cars could be parked on that lot behind that shop? Because I don't believe there ever was.
There may not have been the number of cars, but I know there's like no outdoor storage and different things like that.
I understand,
Um,
and I'm not even doing this to bucket, I'm
You
following you
have
through.
to review that PCA case, and I'm sorry, I only brought for 1801 because I thought that was the one we were talking about. But for that, we would review the PCA case, and if there's changes you're making to that, we'll just take it at the same time and review it all as one.
My suggestion, and I'm not gonna, I'll volunteer.
I appreciate it.
Is that you really sit down and draft a plan of what you want to do.
That's what I'm gonna do.
To make your business operate. You sit down with Aaron and say, this is my roadmap.
That's right.
How can I get there?
That's right.
She can assist you as much as she can.
That's great.
Then the ordinance to get you there.
That's great.
You're not gonna get your problems without, she can. So-
That's great.
And I think, she would do that.
Yes.
I appreciate it. I took Valium before I came here.
We want to work with you.
I
And
appreciate it.
I do
mean that.
appreciate
I
all of
really
you
do.
being here.
I'm gonna be honest, but I'll keep everything as best I can as far as on the street and cars, and I mean it. And I'll get on people, and I won't let them park and block no sidewalk, and I won't put no cars on that lot across the street. But for now, on that back lot, Ted, I'm not gonna be compliant, there's gonna be cars there, I can't help it.
No.
On
Aaron's
that
going to
behind-
review that case
Okay.
for you and even find out if there is a parking restriction.
Okay,
And you may be all
I
right.
just don't want, I want to
Okay, so I would encourage you to talk, communicate. When you get your paperwork turned in today, maybe Aaron can have that review completed by
Unfortunately, that wasn't
then.
as bad as what I thought, so I owe you an apology. I come up here with a bulletproof vest on and a machine gun.
We're not that bad. All
I
right.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here. All right.
Thank you. Should we make a motion to take this under advisement?
Yeah, go ahead. Would you like to make that motion?
I make a motion that we take this under advisement and review it again for the timetable at the June
19?
19th meeting.
I would offer an amendment to that, and see if we could make it the review at the June 26th meeting.
That's fine.
Which grants yet one more week.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. A little confusing. A motion and a second to review the case regarding 1730 Woodlawn and 1801 Woodlawn on June 26th. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes on a vote of 3-0. Now, I would make the motion that we accept the building commissioner's report as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Did you have anything else, Bill?
No, ma'am.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Building commissioner's report is approved on a vote of 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Next, we have code enforcement officer.
Good morning again. Give me just a second here. As you can see, I've got a rather large agenda. Presented in front of you is my weekly report. You notice my number of trash violations are down, as well as the number of vehicles tagged, and that is related directly to the huge increase in the number of mowings. With all the rain we've had in early spring, mowing is just, it's out of hand and over the top right now. I've been concentrating on that, which results in taking time away from trash violations and the vehicle violations. Moving on, If you have any questions on those, I'll give you the opportunity to address those here in a little bit. Moving on, notice to appear in front of the Board of Works today. Mark Hines and Scott Hunter, obviously we just went through that. I think that we've come a long ways in the last 2 days in working with them. Next is Raymond and Patty Scholler. I inspected all these properties that will be cleared today. I inspected this morning, and they have been cleared, and they meet the city ordinance requirements. After that is Clinton Perlman and Janelle Malott. That one has been cleaned up to satisfaction also. After that is Daniel Kuntz. I believe Mr. Kuntz is here. Mr. Kuntz, if you'd like to come on up. I'll explain what's going on here, and I'll give you the most recent pictures that were taken this morning of his property. He had quite a bit of debris around the house, around the property in the yard, with a huge pile of mulch that was in the backyard. You can see from this photograph right here, the dead grass, that's where the mulch was. Simply all he did with it was move it, shovel it up next to the house. The pile is basically the same size. It's just been moved from the center of the backyard to next to the house, which is not satisfactory. Items around the garage right there are still there. I'll hand that to you for your review. I did speak with Mr. Kuntz. Am I saying your last name correctly?
Yes, sir.
I did speak with Mr. Kuntz on the phone this morning prior to today's meeting, and he told me that he would have the mulch and the items around the garage cleaned up by the end of the day today. My recommendation on this property would be to give him till the end of the day today. If he fails to meet that obligation or that commitment, my recommendation would be that the street department go out in the morning and clean and abate the problem. Mr. Kuntz, I'll turn it over to the board and they can ask you any direct questions that they may have.
And the items around the shed are just my grill and smoker and some chairs and a table.
On the south side of the shed there is what appears to be a big pile of bricks.
Yeah, I was going to build a walkway with that.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'll leave it up to the board how they want to proceed with it.
Yeah, I see a couple grills and what I believe is a smoker. There's also a trailer, and it appears to be a
John Deere.
A John Deere.
That's the back. That's for the John Deere. We can haul things with that if need be.
There's also, I thought I took a picture of it, but evidently I didn't. There is a piece of furniture sitting on the front porch that's normally associated with interior furniture. It looks like a rocker recliner type thing, wood frame with a cushion on the seat.
I can get rid of that.
I appreciate the steps that you're taking. You've moved the mulch, and you appear to be headed in the right direction at least. I would make the motion that we grant another 1 week, and we'll have code enforcement follow up next Wednesday. And please do everything you can to straighten it up, organize it, and try to get everything you can inside the garage, inside the shed. And
What about, can I keep my grills and stuff, smoker out there? There's like a concrete slab there that
yeah, I don't know of any restrictions in the ordinance that require smokers and grills to be placed inside.
That's fine.
Yeah, I think that works, but we'll work with you, and I appreciate you being here, and we'll go ahead and call for I'll make the motion that we grant a 1 week extension, have code enforcement report back to us next Wednesday. Appreciate the progress that you're making, and we'll keep an eye on it, and we're, again, willing to work with you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we have a motion, and it's been properly seconded by Ron. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor of granting a 1 week extension, which would take us up until May 15th for Mr. Kuntz regarding his property at 829 North Street. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Passes on a vote of 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next two on the list, Standard Real Estate, LLC, and Evelyn Alvarado. Those both have been cleared.
The one on 84 7th Street, was that the garage?
That was the carpet next to the garage.
Okay.
And Evelyn was furniture and mattress and box springs
Cleared?
cleared out next to the alley.
Raymond Shirley Miller?
The Millers, they were notified, they received the proper door hanging on the door. Chris and I went through all of this morning.
Cleared?
No.
Okay.
There's a door hanging that was on the door. They, however, refused to sign for it. It came back. There's a copy where Deb signed for it when it came back to our office. There's a copy that I sent out to them. As of this morning, they had cleared the wood pile up, the rest of the debris, cardboard box with vacuum hose in there, cement blocks, and some other debris remains piled next to the garage. My motion or my recommendation would be clean up the district department.
And they refused to sign.
They refused to sign. They didn't go pick it up, and we send out a certified letter. They post office notifies the residents at least 2, if not 3 times. They leave a mailing in the mailbox of the addressee, and it's up to them to go to the post office and get it. And obviously, they didn't do that.
Is the door still there?
No, the door was gone. The pictures on the back are the only things that were there as of this morning.
Here's what it used to look like. NTA. You have a note on here, returned NTA.
NTA is just abbreviation that I use for notice to appear.
Okay.
It's the way that I...
Okay, so the first contact went out on March 21st. Another attempt on April 15th. And he returned back on April 23rd. In comparison, it looks fairly minor to some of them that we've had to deal with, but I do see weeds that are at least 12 inches high. Board's recommendation? I think you've done your job. Suggestions?
If we clean it up, we'll mow it too.
I don't think the notice was for tall weeds. It was I make the motion that we order a property cleanup at 715 Race Street.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Is there anybody here that represents Raymond or Shirley Miller? They do have a Walton address, 6465 East, 1000 South, Walton, Indiana. Nobody responding. We have a motion and a proper second. No further discussion. All in favor of ordering your property cleanup, 715 Race Street, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes on a vote of 3-0. Next.
Next is a letter that was addressed to Fannie Mae Attention John Hill. It's reference to residents at 1318 High Street. I get calls from the Parks Department quite often concerning properties that are face Riverside Park. I try my best to pay as much attention as I can to those properties down there. A brief history on this. The gentleman that resides there, I know he did get notice as far as the door hanger. because I also tagged him for a vehicle at the same time on March the 20th. I gave some extra time to this one because it was owned by a bank. The bank, like I said, Fannie Mae, I gave him 30 days. I went last week and towed the vehicle from his backyard. The ordinance says I only have to give him 20 days. At the end of 30 days, as the wrecker is pulling out with the vehicle in tow, he comes running out of the house and said, "Man, can you just have him drop the vehicle? I was going to call you today." And I said, "Sir, you've had 30 days, which is 10 days longer than the ordinance allows." And I pointed out that he was still in violation of the furniture and debris and stuff that was in the yard. He said, okay, he would take care of it, and granted, he is a renter, he's not the property owner, but there's current pictures as of this morning of the backyard of the residence. Proper notice was made through the door hanger. I left door hangers, it is a duplex. I left door hangers on both sides of the duplex, 1320. I'm sorry, 1318 and 1313. Service, nobody signed for it. Here's a copy of the letter.
This is at 1318 High Street?
Yes,
It's not 1313, that'd be the other side of the street.
You're right, 1318 High Street. Proper notice was made. The letter did come back. They did not sign for it, which is not unusual for banks.
I would make the motion that we order the property cleanup at 1318 High Street.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, next.
Next is Rosa Arzella. Rosa, I'll give you the most updated pictures. Really, the only thing that they did from the original pictures, there was a washer and dryer that was in the backyard. They did move the washer and dryer. You can see it's pretty unsightly. This location was brought to my attention by Mr. Drinkwine, and I went over again. Those pictures are as of this morning. Proper notification was made. The door hanger was left on the door.
Did they sign?
On 3/29, no, they did not sign. It was sent out on 3/29 to them, and nobody signed, nobody accepted the certified letter.
So the certified letter came back to your office as refused, or just nobody was there to sign?
As of today's date, it has not came back. It was sent out on 29th
Of April?
March 29th.
Shouldn't it have been back by now?
It should have been back by now, but the Postal Service sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. Sometimes we get them back. I sent out several letters that day, and this is the only one that I've not gotten back from the Postal Service yet.
Is that sufficient? We made the attempt, but there's no record that the post office tried to deliver the letter. The only thing we have is the door hanger that we left.
And this was sent to everything was sent to the address of where
600, the registered owner is Rosa Arzella at 600 West Linden, and that's where it was sent to, Rosa Arzella.
The photographs are pretty disgusting, the condition of the property.
If you want, we can give her another week, and I can go make personal service to her on the property and request she appear next week.
it's safer to do that, Georgia. So what we have proof that you sent a certified letter, but we don't have proof that she got it.
Right. So I'll make personal delivery to her this week.
And if he's not able to secure or physically give the personal delivery?
Leave a letter at her residence herself,
Okay.
and I think our ordinance says that we have to make service to the lab, to where she lives, and that's the address that we have.
Okay.
And if we leave it there and if she doesn't appear, then I think we can go forward.
Okay.
And we need to.
Yeah, and we need to.
That's not a problem.
Yeah, please do that. I would even advise you to take a police officer with you when you go there. Yeah, 600 West Linden. Do that, and then we'll have this back at next week's Board of Works meeting. We give them 1 week to clean it up. I tend to believe that they're very aware of this. If you first reached out to them on March 29th, and here we are 6 weeks later, they have no intention of doing this, but because of legal constraints placed on us that are contained in the ordinance, we have no choice but to make one more attempt. But
Just for the record, I also tagged 3 vehicles in the backyard at the same time, and I know that they got all 3 of those because the vehicles have been moved, but the trash hasn't been cleaned up.
maybe that's a secret. We start leaving the notice on the vehicles.
Yeah.
So, all right. Okay, I would make the motion that we grant a 1 week extension regarding the property at 600 West Linden Avenue.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, passed on a vote of 3-0. Jonathan Kinnick.
That property, Your Honor, has been cleaned up, and that's the last one I've got. So with that, I would ask for approval of my weekly report.
I make a motion to approve the code enforcement officer's report.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion?
No.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Code enforcement officer's report is approved on a vote of 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Thank you, George. Good work.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I respectfully submit my report for the Public Works Department for the City of Logansport. Includes all the streets and also Mount Hope Cemetery if you have time. I know we're running late, but I'd still be glad to answer any questions.
I know that we've had the discussion regarding the mosquito seminar.
Right.
At one point in time, and this may have been a few years back, the city used to have a very low dose treatment, maybe 1 ounce per acre or something like that of a chemical that we could drop in water and it would prevent the.
We still have, it's like a tablet.
Yeah, is it a tablet?
Yes.
Okay. I'm aware of a couple of areas where there are swimming pools on private property, but they're neglected. They're basically abandoned property. Nobody lives there, but the pool still exists.
We can do that.
Have we done that
I
before?
did one last year. That's all I remember doing.
Okay. I'm just, do you know of anything that would prevent us from doing that mosquito treatment in that manner? Because it is a
If the
problem.
property is abandoned, no.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
And the other mosquito thing we have, you got to be certified by the state, and we sent 2 men last week. They are certified. We're thinking that the mosquitoes with all the water is going to be bad this year. We have all the product. Our machine, our fogger is ready to go, and we'll be able to address that when the time comes.
And let's see. No questions?
I make a motion for the approval of the superintendent of public works report.
Second.
Been moved and properly seconded to approve and accept the report of the superintendent of public works. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, pass it on a vote of 3-0. Hi, Chief. Congratulations.
Thank you.
First day back. Getting any sleep?
A little bit.
Yeah. Is he sleeping all night?
Generally, about every 2 hours for a snack. But, yeah, it's good.
All right.
I've submitted my monthly report for the month of April for the police department. Entertain any questions you have.
So is this a busy time of the year, or just starting to get busy?
Just starting to get busy. Just starting.
So as it gets warmer?
Yes, sir. More and more people get out.
Do you have any plans for bicycles in the park this summer?
As much as possible. We've got 3 guys that are going to be off for sick time, scheduled surgeries and stuff, but we're going to do as much as possible. We're going to be moving. Probably what we're going to have to do is rotate detectives down into uniform to cover the empty spots and fill in the best we can.
Okay. I make the motion that we approve. Okay, we have a motion, I'm sorry, yeah, we have a motion and a second to approve the report as presented. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, passes on a vote of 3-0. Thank you, Chief. Are there any board member comments? Miscellaneous business, including ADA Section 504 compliance and concerns, or any other matters not already considered? Hearing none, I'd entertain the motion to adjourn.